let's start by sharing my screen. Then I'm going to start explaining. First, I will talk about in general in physics, how to prepare physics. After that, then I will talk about how to prepare for ministry in general. And after that, I will take your questions. So now let me start for explaining, first explaining about the 2022 ministry exam, how questions were asked, and in general, how ministry questions asked in the exam. Now, the first term statistics, these are the first term statistics. Every year, first term or second term, almost 50% of the questions are repeated questions and modified questions. What does repeated mean? Now, for example, here is the statistics of 2022 first term. From 50 questions, 17 of them are repeated questions, which means previous last questions asked again without any change. 17, yani 34%. Only 8 questions are modified, and they did a small change in the questions. If it is a problem, just number has changed. If it is a definition, definition is asked in a reverse way. Almost 25 questions are somehow asked in ministry before. 17 are completely the same, exactly the same. 8 are a very little change. And every year they are doing this. 25 new questions are asked in ministry in physics. New questions mean this is not the question from outside your book. Yani the questions are mostly from your book. Mostly from your book. I mean, almost from your book. If they ask questions not different than the questions which are asked in your book. And from these 50 questions, for example, first term of 2022, 25 of them were definitions and conceptual, yani no problems, no calculations. But other 25 are problems. Yet every year the ministry exam almost the same. Half of the questions are definitions, conceptual questions, why questions, but other 25 questions are generally problems. But these problems are generally one-step solution problems, two-step solution problems, but 2 or 3 problems every year they're asking a little harder than the rest to separate the students who are good in physics. This is the way they ask questions in ministry. And of course, every year we are providing several questions to students by zero mistake, by test bank. Most probably some of you got these books. And when we check, for example, this year, we observed that some of the questions which is the first time asked questions, are asked somehow in our documents. For example, zero mistake 2022 document. One of the questions in ministry is almost the same. Or another question, zero mistake to, again, 2022, which we are going to give you is in time, almost the same question. So that's why our documents, test bank, for example, I think you got this test bank questions, very similar questions asked the first time in ministry. So such coincidences are also possible. That's why always you should solve those documents which we gave to you, which is the test bank or zero mistake or other documents. And how the distribution of the question is in physics, now I'm going to talk about this. In 2022, first term and second term, overall, from 100 questions, in the first term, first 50 questions are asked, in second term, 50 hours, total is 100. From these 100 questions of 2022, 24 of them is from chapter 6. This tells you that 24% of all questions are going to be from chapter 6. Yani 1/4 of the questions almost. That chapter 6, that's why it's so important for ministry. And then chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. 12 questions are asked, and 12% of the questions are from chapter 1, 12% of the questions are from chapter 2, 12% is from chapter 3, 11% is chapter 4, 5%, 9% is from chapter 5, 6% is from chapter 7. Again, 8% is 8, chapter 9, 6%. So, if I want to tell you the importance of the chapters, chapter 6 is the most important one. 1/4 of the questions will ask from chapter 6. Chapter 1 and chapter 2 are other two important chapters. I think in the summer course you studied these two chapters, chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 5 and chapter 6. Almost you learned the half of the topics, which is going to be asked in ministry in the summer course. Okay, I will continue, but before starting the next title, if you have any questions now about the structure of ministry exam in physics, then you can ask me, or just let me continue. And I know your school got this document. Mr. Ilhan asked me for this one, and then I gave the documents, malzemes, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 5, and chapter 6 to you. So in this document, malzeme, maybe you realize this year, I put the QR codes. I think these QR codes now we are using the same document in Süleymaniye as well. Very, very useful for revisions. This is the first time in this year we did this. And when you are studying this malzeme, you are going to see that there are some warnings at the bottom of the page. For example, right here, there's a warning. So test bank test number 1. Now, most probably you got test bank. I think Mr. Ilhan asked me for sending. I sent it to you. You got most probably this test bank. If you didn't get this test bank, when you study this title until this point, when you meet this warning at the bottom of the page, now, which means you are ready for solving this test. So this test in the test bank is going to be a kind of revision for you. First, you are going to learn the titles. You are going to learn everything in the book. Of course, you will solve the problems several times. You are going to learn the definitions. After that, when you read this warning and then go to your test bank, open your test bank, do this test. After that, when you, for example, studied the angular speed, you are going to see the same warning again in here. Solve test bank test number 2. So by this way, go and solve this test bank. And that's why malzeme, which I gave to you, or Mr. Ilhan gave to you, and test bank, which we prepared, are parallel. So there is a complete document. So malzeme is going to study it first. When you finish the title, you are going to open your test bank, and you are going to do these tests. And during whole year, you are going to see these warnings when in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, all chapters, you are going to see that when you studied a title, and when you learn it, after that, you are going to go to the test bank and you are going to do them. Doing test bank is very important, and every student must finish this test bank during the school time. And also, when you are studying this document, in the test bank, you are going to see that there are tests. For example, now let me open one of them, test bank. For example, test 1. Test 1 is about rotational quantity, angular displacement. Test 2 is about angular speed. Test 3 is about angular acceleration and kinematic equations. Test 4 about tangential speed and acceleration, and so on. But when chapter finishes, when we finish all the chapters, you are going to see that there is review assess. This review assess must be done after you study chapter review of each chapter. For example, chapter 1, you studied with your teacher and you finish chapter 1. After that, go to review and assess questions, chapter questions of that chapter. Study them all from this malzeme because I put all the answers of these chapter questions also in this malzeme. Right? So after each chapter, you are going to meet them. For example, for this chapter 1, right here, we start answering chapter questions right here. And all are answered. All problems are solved. Even for them, I put QR code for questions which seems to be a bit harder. So for this page, when it says for this page, all the questions in this page is explained. If it says for this question, only for that question it's explained. Use your phone or use your father's phone or mother's phone, because during the ministry study, using the social media or smartphone is sometimes can cause student to waste time. That's why I don't prefer to use your own smartphone. Use someone else's smartphone which is not yours, and also you can watch their solutions. And when you do all these chapter questions, after that, go back to the test bank and do chapter review and assess questions. Chapter 1 review and assess, because review and assess questions are a bit harder compared to other tests, because those questions are about the chapter questions mostly. That's why without doing the chapter questions, you cannot very easily answer. Maybe you can get some difficulty for understanding or answering these questions. And after that, during the whole year, you are going to study these documents and malzeme, parallel test bank, chapter 1, chapter 2 of malzeme, test bank, chapter 2, chapter 3 of malzeme, test bank, chapter 3, and so on. Test bank must be finished in the school time, in the same time with your study. After that, we are going to provide you a document which is zero mistake. What is the difference between the test bank and zero mistake? Sometimes my student in my school also asking this question. Test bank is for learning. So title by title, we are going in test bank. So when you read a question, you know about what this question is about, which title is about. But zero mistake is not like this. It's a kind of revision. So there will be mixture of titles. For example, chapter 1. Chapter 1, test 1. Yeah, all chapter 1 questions from section 2, section 1, section 3, they are mixed. So you are not sure from these sections that you don't have information before you start the test. So that's why zero mistake is going to prepare you for ministry, but test bank is going to make you learn the titles. This is the difference between the test bank and zero mistake. Teacher, test bank is enough or not? Sometimes my students are asking, should I do the test bank again when I finish this test bank during the school year? No, test bank must be finished in school years. Once finishing test bank is enough. After that, when exam time starts, you have to study zero mistake to get ready for the ministry tests. And how to study physics is the next part. This is the order of study in physics I generally suggest my students. And first, the basic study you have to do is the revision of the chapters from your malzeme with the notes you took during the lesson. Second one is, of course, you should do sample problems, practice problems, sectional questions, all of them must be done. And third step or third order is doing ministry exam questions. When you check the physics malzeme, you are going to see that after each title, there is put the ministry questions. Yeah, not section. After each title, you are going to see that, because I want students to see what kind of questions are asked in ministry. Even you are going to see, especially in chapter 1, right after the question, under the question there, this question is in the book whereas, for example, this question number 11 is Ministry 2016. Which question is it? It is question number 33, review and assess. Or another question, right here. Question number 1. So it's asking Ministry 2014. So from this question, from where this question is asked, it is the standard test prep in the book. So by this way, you can go that, if you have any difficulty, you can go that question and you can see that question in the book and then turn back the ministry questions as well. After each title, you will see that these ministry exam questions are put, and you have to, of course, third step, our third order is after doing all the samples, practice problems, sectional questions, you have to do ministry questions. After ministry questions, what is next? Answering and studying chapter review questions. Yani review assessment at the end of each chapter must be done. Yani you shouldn't wait to finish the whole book. After that, we are going to do chapter review. No, when you finish chapter 1, you have to do chapter questions. When you finish chapter 2, you have to do chapter questions. After chapter questions, of course, related tests from the test bank must be done, especially mixed tests about after each chapter. And when you're studying ministry, revising your quiz pages taken during the year is very important also. So most probably your teacher will give you some quiz pages. When you do a mistake in quizzes, learn from your mistake. Another thing in ministry, which is really important. And revise them when you are studying for the ministry. Especially in time, you can do it as well. And if you want, you can read or study textbook. Or the teacher, is it sometimes student in my school is also asking me, teacher, should we read the book? Everything in the book, which is important, is put in malzeme. Only the difference is I put them in malzeme according to the way I explained. Because book's explanation, the book's way of teaching is not very proper for students because the author of this book is not a teacher. He's a professor. A professor doesn't know how to teach physics. They are just explaining titles. I am the teacher, so I know how to teach them. That's why I put all these informations in the book in order to make students understand much better. So if you want to feel confident in the exam, you can read textbook. That's when my students ask this question to me, I am answering them. If you want to feel more confident, just feeling, it's about the feeling, you can read it. But reading book is better to read this way. When you finish section 1 in the malzeme, you can go to the book and you can study section 1. When you finish section 2 in malzeme, why I'm saying my student this way, so you are going to study this document with me first. First, I will explain everything to you, you will get it. After that, you can go to the book and you can read the book because it's going to be this time easy for you. Otherwise, book is really complex, and then makes student mind, confused when they read the book before studying the malzeme, before studying with their teachers. This is the way how we study physics, how I prefer my students to study physics for ministry. And one last thing I am going to say you, okay. Generally, after each ministry exam, I am asking the graduates their opinions about how they studied through the year, how other students, incoming students must study for the year. I asked the same question to the students who graduated in 2022. And one of the students write a very valuable information. Now I'm going to briefly read it because what is written in this message is exactly what I say to my students. That's why I named this a manifesto for studying how to study physics or how to study ministry. Now this is what she wrote to me. Step by step, I'm going to read them and I'm going to talk about this. So she says that I think it is very important to never miss a day in your daily revision. Daily revision is the key for success in the ministry. Yeah, when I started my first course, sometimes I'm making a joke to my students and I'm saying them, if I would like to give a message to a student who studies physics in Süleymaniye, I would like to write in Azmar Mountain. There's a, in Azmar Mountain, there's a writing written Süleymani. I would like to give a message to student: revision. Revision is the key for success. If you don't do your daily revision, I mean, you should be super genius to get full mark from physics in ministry. So that's why never miss a day in your daily revision, as even one day can set you back quite a lot, she says, and she's right. Yeah, if you skip one day revision in one lesson, next day, because teachers will continue teaching, teacher will not wait you to catch them. Studying consistently is one of the most important things, she says. And you should never lose focus on your goal. What do you, yeah, that's the point. What is your goal? What is your goal? What do you want to get? You want to get engineering, you want to get the medicine, you want to get the pharmacy. So never, never lose focus on your goal. Your goal is going to set you in motion, I mean, set you to study. She says that it's just a year of hard work and you will be thankful for doing it for the rest of your life. I personally should have paid more attention to the details, she says. And I should have cut some things out of my life, such as electronic, social media, and other forms of the entertainment, which could potentially distract you. That's why social media must be stopped for 1 year. That's why I generally prefer myself not to use the smartphones for 1 year, just use a usual phone, simple phone. And if you need, for example, to communicate your teacher, if you need to YouTube or something to watch it, use your fathers or mothers or brothers or sisters' phone for those things. And she says, I personally should, details she's talking about. Solve all the questions which are in the book. In physics, don't study any other document. Every questions basically from the book. Solve all questions which are in the book and read into every sentence, as they can only ask you questions from the book. So sometimes, like this year, for most lessons, they can get quite detailed. In biology, I think most of them get in physics. A few questions were a bit detailed, but that was not so hard. Then solve missing questions and extra questions from your school test bank, and also zero mistake. She says, I woke up late during Iznaka. Izin time, after you school finish, you have 40, 50 days. She says, I woke up late during Izin time, so then that made me lose a lot of time, which I could have spent studying to get a better mark. So stick your timetable. Don't waste a single second. Another thing, I think in Halabja, you have a dormitory. It's the best way to study in dormitory instead of going to the home. And especially in Süleymaniye this year, we got this problem. When students went to home, they even get worse than we send them to home. Because I later learned that some get stress, some get pressure, some got emotional things and other things, and they didn't study, they cut studying, they got bored of studying, and then all these things make them to get worse and worse during the Izin time instead of studying school. And that's why especially in Halabja, this is a good opportunity for you. You have I think, a very good dormitory. There is, I know that I have been that, and very quiet environment. It's the best place for studying with your friends and with your teachers, and so that. You can rest and go out for time to time, but 12th grade isn't like the other grades, which is something most of us didn't understand until very end. So try to minimize socializing. Yes, you can sometimes go and out, just get some fresh air. Maybe for 30 minutes you can go and then play a little basketball. Of course, you need to get rest, but resting shouldn't be the whole time of you. Just 30 minutes, 20 minutes, get a rest, and after that, turn back to your study more stronger than before. Ask all your questions to your teachers and don't stop till you are sure you have understood the answer, and write down what they tell you, otherwise you will forget it. For lessons which require a lot of memorizing like Kurdish, try to memorize a bit each day and never leave it till the end, thinking that even if you memorize it now, you'll forget it later. That is not the case. When you learn something, it's not that easy to forget it. You can think that you forget, but it's not that easy. Students are generally thinking this way. Okay, teacher, especially when the exam time approaches, I feel that I forgot everything. No, you didn't forget everything. You learned so many things, and your mind put all these things into boxes in your memory. That's why you cannot see them where they exist. When times come, when exam comes, you are going to answer them all. That's why day by day, learn and never think you will forget it. Just study, go on that way. Never think that since you have passed every year with great marks, that without studying a lot, you can do the same in the 12th grade. You could be a genius, still fail, because 12th grade isn't about being naturally clever. It's about consistency, keyword, consistency. Hard work and giving all your time to your studies. If you feel like you have burned out, take a rest and come back stronger. Just I said to you, go to outside. What you like to do, what you like the most, do it for some time, for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but come back for studying much stronger. When you lost all your energy, don't force yourself, give a rest. And don't let it slow you down. You can rest all you like after 12 grade. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't take a rest. You will take a rest, but not very long time, until you make your moods ready again for the study. Take it and come back. There is a difference between knowing you will get into the university you like and being unsure the entire summer about what you are going to do next. Now she's doing this because she couldn't get enough mark to enter what she wants. Now she's not planning. Should I repeat? Should I go here? Should I go there? Now, instead of thinking all these things, just 1 year study and get what you want. After that, relax. Your future is in your hands, and what you will do with all the chances you have been given up to you. So everything is in your hands, she's saying.